Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about Trump and New York and framing. And we're going to talk a little bit about Georgia and parallels that it seems people want to make and comparisons that people want to make, but they're not making clearly. And just kind of run through where everything is and where it goes from here. Okay, so in New York, the proceedings went forward today, and it was determined that Trump's, quote, hush money case will proceed to trial on March 25th. It is expected to last about 6 weeks. Let's start there. This is not a hush money case. That is horrible framing for this. That is not what this case is. The core of this case is not the payment of hush money for a relationship. The core of this case is the alleged falsification of business records. And Trump is facing, don't remember the exact number, more than 30 felony counts over it. I want to say 34. Now, Trump's team says, we strenuously object to what is happening in this courtroom. The fact that we are now going to spend, President Trump is now going to spend the next 2 months working on this trial instead of out on the campaign trail running for president is something that should not happen in this country. I agree he should suspend his campaign. He obviously can't focus on it. The idea that the entire legal system across the country should grind to a halt because somebody has declared candidacy doesn't really track. It kind of institutes the idea of a two-tier justice system where those that have the means to run for president, well, all they have to do is keep running for president, and then they never have to face any accountability. See how weird that argument is when you really kind of follow it down? Okay. So that's what's going on. This case, to me, is the least impressive of all of the criminal cases against the former president. Doesn't mean that it won't result in a conviction. It just means that it's the least impressive. This is one that kind of wasn't getting a lot of coverage because it was expected to come at the end. The other cases were, the anticipation was that the other cases would go first. And by the time this came around, nobody would care. At its heart, this is about the falsification of records, not hush money. Hush money is just what the records were falsified about, if that makes sense. Okay, so got a question that says, most outlets are covering this development and Georgia at the same time. Why? And if you don't know what that's about, in Georgia, the DA in that case, there's proceedings about that and the relationship. I guess at this point it has been admitted has occurred, and they're just kind of running through that in an attempt to disqualify her. Why are so many outlets running them at the same time? What Republicans are accusing her of, and what they are saying is a disqualifying act for a DA's position, is she had a personal relationship and then lied about it in records. That's the summation of the Republican case on this, is that because she did this, she's unfit for office. She can't be on this case because she did this. The New York case is that Trump had this relationship and then lied about it in records. That's the allegation. It's the same thing. I think outlets are trying to draw that comparison without, just coming out and saying, if it's true for one, it's true for the other. If Trump, in his quest for the presidency, was willing to lie in records about this relationship to cover it up, well, he's disqualified because that's what's being said in Georgia. That's why outlets are covering them together, I think. I've read a bunch of those stories where they're putting the two events together. I haven't seen anybody like openly make the comparison, but I believe that's why they're being run that way, is to kind of try to highlight the similarities in the events and then the very different outcomes when it comes to how people view them and what they think should happen. It is worth noting that by every lawyer that I've talked to who's familiar with Georgia, even if the DA is removed, the case proceeds. Maybe the defense team is hoping to get a prosecutor who isn't as good, or a prosecutor who maybe is more favorable to Trump. But this is not something that would end the prosecution. By literally every Georgia attorney I've talked to says that's not how it works. It's just she wouldn't be on the case. So that's what's going on. I think that's why the comparison's being made. March 25th is the new date. It is worth noting that this may mean that the election interference case, the federal one, even if the Supreme Court was to decide like today, that one may go in May now. We'll have to wait and see how this being bumped to the front of the line impacts the other cases. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.